Welcome to the NiFTy Chicks. In this episode, we chat with Tess Robinson, Community Integration Manager from the Bulls and Apes projects. She talks about the innovative ways Bulls and Apes have kept their community engaged despite the market pullback. Truly unheard of and exciting. Let's do this.
Welcome to the NiFTy Chicks. We have Tess Robinson here with the Bulls and Apes project. Tess, you are is it the community manager? Is that your title?
It's okay. It's the community integration manager. Yeah. It's a wild
integration manager.
Yeah, it's a bit different. It's I laugh because when people ask me, they're like, "So is that the community manager?" And I have to go into, no, it's different. Actually not. We have a community manager, right? It's different. It's more of a higher level of integration between just different communities and stuff. So, which we'll get into, but.
Yeah, which makes sense because I have seen a little behind the scenes of what Tess does, and it's I would say it's pretty intense. So I had the opportunity to meet Tess at Art Basel, 2 months ago in Miami. I think it was. I think it was 2 months ago, and just absolutely adore her and was super excited to get her here on the NiFTy Chicks to talk to all of you about what she's doing in this space and the Bulls and Apes project, which I have been a member of since the beginning. And I think what they're doing is really cool. So Tess, I think to kick this off, why don't you just give a little bit of your background and what brought you into the crypto and NFT space?
Yeah, so I have been in the NFT space since around November of 2021. And it was one of those things that I had heard about. I'd heard about crypto before, dabbled a little bit, but never really dove in. I'm not like an OG crypto person. I know many that are, and I wish I was. But
same.
Right? Like, oh, why didn't I have Bitcoin when that guy was buying it with pizza? But
right.
But I did, I knew of crypto. I knew about it. And then I heard about these pictures and these apes and these things that were happening. And I was just like, I don't really get it. What's going on? So of course I just started looking into it and went on Twitter because that seemed to be where a lot of people were, and went totally anon because I was like, I don't know who these people are. I can't trust them. Who knows what's happening? I don't want people to know who I am, like, even though I'm like no one in Florida. Like, I'm like, who am I? But for some reason, we have this like barrier where you're like, I don't want people to know. It's weird. And so I got in this space, started learning, started jumping in Twitter spaces. I was on Clubhouse before. So when Twitter spaces came out, I was like, okay, so this is the Clubhouse of Twitter. And I started listening into those types of NFT spaces and all that. And learning and just listening and learning and absorbing it all, and started actually hosting spaces because I loved it. I thought it was super interesting. I thought the space was cool. I thought it was a really innovative, like next level. Also maybe a bit more of an interactive way to do crypto, I feel like. For me, like I was just always like, I know what crypto is, but like, I don't really know how to get involved except just like invest and then it sits there. This feels like more interactive and like maybe more creative. So I liked it. So I jumped in and started hosting spaces to like talk with people. Just like, I'm learning, you can come along and learn too. Why not? Like, I don't, like, let's just go on this journey together. And so I was involved, got into a few communities, and then through being involved in Lazy Lions, I actually got introduced to the Bulls and Apes when they were going to mint, and became a community member there. I started like getting to know the team, hang out with them, and really loved it. Like really found like a place that I felt like was like my home, like really connected. Hosted a couple of spaces with them, and after mint, not long after mint, they approached me about joining the team officially and being on the team. So when I looked over, what they've done, what they were doing, the type of values and their mindset, what they have for Web3 aligned with what I felt too. And so I said, all right, let's do this. And I made the leap and went full-time Web3 June actually of last year.
Wow, congratulations. That's, I think, like where most of us want to go, and NiFTy was able to accomplish that too, that journey of going full in. And one of the questions that I have, and so when NiFTy shared a little bit about Bulls and Apes, and she was super excited about it when she learned about it, she was like, you got to check this out. So I did. One of the main points of like skepticism I had, which was around all of these guarantees, like your money back and all these things that like, and also fully doxed, like they were super transparent about who they are. And to me, I was like, oh, I don't know. How does this is such a unique way about going about a launch that was new. So, did you have any like sort of similar like concerns or kind of like what led you to be like, no, I trust these guys. This is real. This is legitimate, and I feel good that I found my home. Like, what was it about that project that made you trust them so much?
Yeah, so interestingly, I had started the kind of soft doxing, but I don't know if that's even a term, but that's what I'm going to call it.
I like
Soft
it.
doxing
I like it.
before I joined the team, and just because I did feel like this space was so much about connection, and like I said, like at first coming in, like I wanted to be anon because it was scary, but then as you get in, you start talking to people, especially on Twitter Spaces, when you hear their voices and you interact with them, you feel like it's a very collaborative community. And so I started like, okay, I want people, like, yes, I have my PFP and it's super cool. I get to represent myself that way, but I also want people to know who I am as a real person. And so when I saw like the guys at Bulls and Apes, Anthony and Manny and Guy were all out there, putting their faces on the cameras, talking about what they've done in the past, talking about, their success, what they had planned and all these things. At that time, like, doxing wasn't what everyone was doing. It wasn't cool, like you said. And definitely offering an ETH back guarantee for 6 months was not something that was being done. And that's exactly what I loved about what they were doing. I thought, well, this makes complete sense, because when we go to the store and buy a shirt, if I don't like it, I get to take it back. And that's how like traditional business works and how successful long-term things work. Like, I do think there's a lot of things in the space that we can do to be different and change things and maybe get some things, in an improved way than we have in the past. But there's some of that fundamental, like long-term business planning basis and customer service or community service, as we're going to call it in Web3, right? That's going to be required for us to make the 5, 10, 20-year plan and be able to stand up when, big brands are coming in and, and wondering like, okay, what's the space? Is it legitimate? Oh, well, these people are speaking my language. We talk about revenue streams and things like that people are like, what? But that's what we need to legitimize the space, I think.
That's so good. I
it's
love
funny.
that.
I remember when I was first hearing about Bulls and Apes and deciding whether or not to get in. I remember thinking that the money back on your ETH, I was like, who is doing this? This is insane that somebody is offering this. And NiFTy, I remember you looking at me like I was crazy for getting in on this. And obviously I'm very happy that I'm in on it now. And I have to say, Tess, so we back from a cruise and internet and Wi-Fi was so horrible. And so I was really sad because I was unable to harvest. So I lost all my, build up or what, I don't know what you call that term. But so I'm back now. And NiFTy, I don't know if you know, but basically you harvest your meth every day and it grows. Like there's a multiplier involved. And so if you miss a day, then you go back to the start.
Yes, the leveling up.
It's a real bummer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Real bummer.
I've been there.
And to be clear, like when you say you basically collect your meth, you're not actually talking about methamphetamine. No. To be clear.
Tess, do you want to explain that? Because
yes,
it is. So. I remember that, and I was like, "Well, that's a really dumb name," but I love it now. Now that I, know and understand, I think it's actually great.
Yeah, so it is funny, especially on the back end of the whole like traditional business, and let's do things this way, and then you say, well, we got this meth. So the meth is right? Short, right? It's short for our methane token, which is our ERC20 in-game utility token. So it's a strict utility token for our ecosystem for in-game use. And interestingly, Manny, just one of the co-founders, I say just, but maybe it's been a while, but he did a thread on why Methane Token was the best marketing name that we could have ever picked, for things like you said. It's just, there's so many jokes, there's so much fun, so much funny things that people say around it. And so it's a play because the Bulls and Apes project we minted May of last year with a 10,000 collection of bulls. And so those bulls, if you're familiar with animals or cows, they produce methane gas. So instead of gas, they're producing methane token each day. And so when you own one of your bulls, you don't have to do anything. We had no staking, nothing. It's just a simple hold to earn method. So you just hold the asset in your wallet, and each day it accrued methane token. The OG bulls were 10 methane token per day that they would accrue. So with those guys, you didn't have to harvest. But when we came out with the team utility and the God Bull powers, they created methane token, but they have to you have to harvest it each day. And yes, it is quite sad when you forget. And I tend to forget on like the busiest day, like our biggest events. Like we'll have an event happening, and I think it's just like it's so busy planning and doing all the things. And then the next morning I'll wake up and I'm like, oh, I didn't harvest.
It's funny.
It's horrible, especially once you get up to, like the peak, you're getting as much as you can. So Jen FT, let's share our screen and just show a little bit of, because I don't know, if everybody's seen. I just think the art for these is so amazing. I love them. I'm super excited. So you can see here's some of the bulls. I love these, like the turquoise ones, and I've got one that's in a bathrobe, and they're just so amazing.
You have one of the Hefner robes. Think? Is it a red robe?
No, mine's a white robe.
Oh, the white robe. Yeah. Those are good too.
Yeah. But I love them. I love this artwork. Super excited for the apes are coming February 7th, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So can you give us a little bit about what is happening there for this new mint?
Yes. So we are the Bulls and Apes project, and like I said, we minted the 10,000 bulls May of last year, and we've had the God Bulls mint, the Teens mint, and next up are coming the Apes. And so we're excited. The lore, if you have not watched it yet, our lore does a really amazing job at telling the story through the whole process. Storytelling is super important for us. It's one of the things that I love about our project, on top of, there's so many things that go on and on, but for us, we do have quite a few characters, right? So we said we've got the OG Bulls, the Teens, the God Bulls, and if you're outside looking in, it could seem like, oh, this is a mint, so to raise funds, collect money, or whatever. But the lore really talks to you and tells you why each character is coming about, okay? And like they all tie together. There's not just like a random like, oh, an ape just dropped in, we're just going to do apes now. They all interact with each other, which is super important with when the apes are coming. So in the lore, the apes actually come in to the bulls world and attack, and there's a battle, and part of the apes actually end up sectioning off and working with the bulls and fighting with the bulls. And so when the apes come in, look at those guys, man, they're so good. One of the main characters from the apes is Ava. So we've got an introduction of a female character as well, which goes into what is so amazing about the apes is the technology that we're doing with their dynamic PFP. And so what that is there's been NFTs that you can customize and then mint. With these apes, not only are you going to be able to customize them, you're going to be able to customize them all the time. So when you mint your ape, they're going to come.
So excited about this.
I know. I cannot wait. Like being able to just pick a different outfit like every week or whatever you want to do, or like a holiday or however you're feeling. Like as you see on here, right in the middle, that female ape, she's got this like super cool like crown headdress that's on. So like that in and of itself is a trait, which is an NFT. So whenever you get your ape, the apes are all going to be warrior slash scavenger like, because of the way the lore is written. They came into the Bulls planet. They, came from a different planet. So they're going to be warrior scavenger. And then as time goes on, there's these loot boxes. And so the loot box is the actual way of minting your NFT, your trait. And so the loot box is going to be randomized. And so it's totally random, but it's going to pop open and you'll have a trait. And so then you'll either decide, which is going to, like I said, the traits are NFTs. So you'll decide, do I like this? Let's say, for instance, you get this golden crown that's on this amazing looking ape here in the middle. And you're like, it's cool, but like not my vibe. I don't really love it. Don't want to keep it. Right. I'll sell it. So you can sell this on secondary and then use that ETH to either buy a different trait or save it, or then you can also open up another loot box if you want, because we're going to have 3 different loot boxes. There's going to be common, epic, and legendary. And the common loot boxes, we were talking earlier about that methane token. The common loot boxes are going to be able to be opened with methane token, and our epic and legendary, the next 2 levels, are opened with Ethereum. So you're going to be able to take that ETH that you sold that hat with, or that crown, and then go open a higher. And the epic and legendary boxes are going to have a bit cooler traits. Not that any of them aren't cool. I mean, the common traits are just as cool. I mean, these things are amazing. So yeah, I mean, that's just a little bit of the dynamic PFP part of it. I mean, I can't wait. These skins and these traits are so cool and so new. Like some of them are totally different, and then some are actually traits that we have from our bull project, as our OG bull collection as well. So we have trait groups, and they've got to decide. They all decide how they allow people in or how they make their groups, but are they going to accept the apes with the same traits or not? So it's a lot of strategy, a lot of gamification, a lot of fun. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, which is amazing. So I want to talk just a little bit about another thing that I think that you guys have done that's pretty revolutionary, and that is all the partnerships you have done. So if you own other NFTs, NFT collections that you guys have partnered with, you can earn meth just by holding NFTs that you were holding anyway, which it's pretty funny because every day I feel like we get an email from you with new collections that you've added to this. And I'm like, oh my God, do you know what number you're up to for how many collections you guys have partnered with?
Right now we're probably close to 100. Yeah, we're probably around 100.
I was thinking it had to be at least 100. It feels like it anyway. There's so many. So where did that idea come from? And I love that so many other collections are open to this, to partnering with you guys. And
yeah, the community tokenization is what that is. Yeah. The community tokenization program. And it was actually a brainchild of Manny, one of our co-founders. And Anthony actually at first wasn't really thrilled about it. He thought it wasn't going to be so great. He was like, I'm not too sure about this. Are people really going to want to do this? And then the more they talked about it, the more pros and cons were weighed. The pros were just opening up, and Anthony realized, he was like, this is a really amazing opportunity to expand not just our ecosystem for the Bulls and Apes, but to connect and expand the Web3 community as a whole, and get everyone, really building and innovating and working together. And so, so they were like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And so when we decided to tokenize different communities, when you were talking about where we got to hang out when we were in Miami, that's when we announced it. And so it's funny because Aaron's like, what's happening? And I'm like, I can't tell you, we're making a big announcement, but I'm so busy. Miami, I felt so bad because I was just I went to the one day and then I was just slammed working the whole time. But it was this was this huge. It was so much going on to get it launched. And we had to look at a lot of different things. And some of the things we look at are activity is a big important part of what we look at with these communities that we're tokenizing. Because the thing about it is with this community tokenization, they're actually not partnerships. because what we're doing is, this is literally like everyone says the same thing because that's what we're used to in the space. We're used to having partnerships,
right?
And this is part of what really is cool on the like, if you're into blockchain, you're into the permissionless, and you're into the like decentralized aspect. This is that part of it that we're using, and that we're setting like doing again something totally different. So we're using the permissionless aspect of the blockchain that we don't have to have a partnership with a community or with a founding team to be able to tokenize their community, which has been really amazing for communities that maybe have founders that have walked away, or communities that are trying to rebuild. So while yes, we do speak to founders, and there are, we do have some that are on board and they've been on our spaces and they're super excited and they do support, it's not necessarily required. So so what we do is, like you said, simply holding the asset of that other community. You come in, you get to log into our My Collection page, and you collect daily methane token, and then you'll be able to get your ape traits just as well. So I just really think it's one of those things that's been so fun to see all the different communities, like almost like waking up again. Like, it's been a market. And but I know that people didn't necessarily go anywhere, because we all know how it gets when you're working, when you're building, you get like really like tunnel vision, and you're in this zone and you tend to go quiet, but you're building and you're working. And then now, like when we came out with community tokenization, it's become this like beacon of like, we see you working, we see you building and innovating, and so are we, and we're still here too. And I feel like the bear market really kind of like compressed us down to those who are here to build for the long term. And now we've sent out this like flat, like a flash, what is that thing called? A flare gun, like a flare gun with community tokenization to say like, are you out here still too? Come on, let's keep building, innovating, and creating Web3 the way we want to. Like, I just think it's been so fun.
I love it. And I love that. I feel like you guys are one project that is still, I mean, you're out there visible doing stuff in this bear market, where a lot of people, like you were saying, have, I mean, I feel like a lot of other projects that I'm involved in radio for a while. You'll hear something every now and then, but for the most part, you have really no idea what they're doing, if they're doing anything, like where are they going to come out. I mean, I was looking at OpenSea last night at a bunch of my like female-led projects, and I'm like, it made me want to cry because of how far floors have come down. And like, I mean, I do have faith in them, but hopefully they come through this, downturned market. But I feel like Bulls and Apes, like you're not seeing that decline in your floors, because I don't know. Whenever I look at you guys, I'm like, okay, they're still doing it.
Yeah.
So
kudos
to you.
Thanks. Thank you. And I just thank the community, and and like people like you, like the community, for being there. And I mean, we'll look back, and and I'm sure we'll keep talking about this, or at some point in the history. But even like just right now, I don't want to sit here and be like, everything was so great and we just moon. Like, that's not reality. That's not life.
Right.
And we had a time where our floor price did dip, and we did start to get close to that mint price. And you talk about the ETH by guarantee. We as a team were saying we are getting to a point that people may begin to exchange their bulls, because if you're sitting on something and you can return it, it was returnable at the mint price. So as long as ETH is higher or the floor is higher, then you're kind of like, okay, I'm okay. But once it dips and once the price is going down to what you paid for it, you're like, maybe I should exchange. Happy to say we only had like 8 people with 15 bulls total actually return. And
That's
each
amazing.
one, the floor price was totally higher too at the time. But we did have that. And I think what you're saying, like the whole, we've still been out, we've still been active, is at the beginning after mint, we definitely knew we had a lot to deliver. We knew we had a lot to do. I mean, we released Teen Utility 30 days after mint. I'm sorry, not Teen Utility. We released the Teen Mint. They came out 30 days after our OG mint. And that was a huge push. That was incredible, something that people hadn't undertaken before. And looking back, Anthony says, like, I don't know that I would want to do that again.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it's a lot. But we realized at some point that we were actually spread too thin and that we were all over the place. We had a few different Twitter shows. We had a live stream show. We were doing a lot of different things. And Anthony was like, I know you guys are working very hard. I know we have stuff to deliver, and we just double down on a few things that we know we can deliver and do really well, like our tokenomics, like our VC deal flow for our inner circle utility. Then we can just keep delivering, and we know the community is here with us, and we'll make it. We're gonna not just make it, we're gonna be super successful through that. And that's what we did. Instead of trying to be so spread out, we focused down on really that delivery of quality utility and quality, tokenomics and all the things that we've done. So, and the community's been amazing. I had multiple people say, I feel like I just turned around and now everyone has these bull PFPs. And I'm like, it's like everything else you read about or watch. It's like the iceberg. It's like they've been here the whole time. And I love our community because back, just like you said, you were like, people think it's crazy. And you're telling Eric, you're like, Jen, you got to get this. And you're like, I don't know.
I don't know. Sounds suspicious, but yeah, it's interesting. You just answered the question that I had, which was throughout the last several months, it's been, everyone's taken a different path. And I was curious to hear kind of what shifts you and Bulls and Apes have made. And it sounds like you were hyper focusing and consolidating your efforts. And I love that. I almost wish more people did that. I think, the space was so exciting for so long that everyone just dove in and with very little direction and just went all in. And I think you're seeing some people, like the ones that really come out the other end are going to be the ones that really hyper focused, like you guys did. So kudos to you guys and the team for that. That's awesome.
I would also add that I feel like you guys have been out there grinding to some extent. I mean, I see you doing like that night, when we were at NFTy Miami and you were breaking the news. And I mean, you're on that Twitter space until I don't even know how late. I feel like I even left and you were still doing it. And do those all the time. And you have, tons of community members show up and ask questions and be a part of it. And I mean, I don't see a whole lot of other projects doing that currently.
Yeah, so. I think that a lot of that is, I'll speak for myself. Even though when I do that, it's also the overall mission vision of our company, of our community, and what kind of tying this all back together. What led me to join this team full time and take that leap and say I'm here with this team and these guys and I'm in, is that whole vision for Web3 with the amount of opportunity and to give people that opportunity to create the lives that they want to live their best life. It's one of those things that being out here for myself, I feel like I hope to inspire other people to just do what they want to do, be able to find their way in this space. I know it's a very overwhelming thing to get into. I know it can be very alarming and hard to figure out where you fit in. And I think the most important thing is that you figure out where to fit in, where you feel best and most comfortable. And I just think that continuing to show up, not just for people getting into this space, but Anthony showing up for other founders, the community tokenization, it's saying I'm still here too. And you, we're building, keep running, let's keep building, let's get together. Yeah. Let's join forces, and it's just that's really what's driving our passion. That's what keeps us showing up and keeps us, each day. Like you said, I can't express enough. Just don't quit. Don't quit. Like you said, Jen, you may have to focus down. You may have to say no to this thing over here that you really want to do and put it or put it on hold, but don't quit. And that's because you just keep going. And then one day it just opens. We didn't have spaces with 200 people in all the time. We would run a space and 50 people show up, but you keep doing it. You keep showing up and you will naturally, I think you naturally just gravitate and people will gravitate toward you. People align with what you put out. So we have our,
Awesome.
you know, yeah, we have our values and our mission and what we want to do in the space. And we've been a beacon. We call it the oasis. We've been the oasis in the bear market.
I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm like excited. I'm like, okay, fine, Minty Cell, I'll buy it. I've heard enough. It's good. It's good.
There we go. bullsandapesproject.com. That's where you can go find out everything that we've been talking about today and more. You can go read about the lore, see what's happening with the apes. And Tess, what is the best way to reach you? And any parting words that you want to make sure that our listeners know about either you or Bulls and Apes?
Yeah, so best way to reach me is, of course, Twitter. I am on there. You can send me a DM, give me a follow. I am happy to connect. Like I said, for me personally, I have a power word this year. It's to inspire. It's inspiration to inspire others. Didn't realize it. Kind of came to it. But on the Bulls and Apes front, definitely go to the website and find out any information. Get on the allow list for those apes because people think that they're too late, they missed it, and you're still early. So
I love that.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, Tess.
Thanks for having me.
So NiFTy, I just love that. I love Tess. I was, so excited when I met her in Miami and when she agreed to, come be on the show. And as you can tell, I really love the Bulls and Apes project. I think what they're doing is so super cool. And I love Tess's passion for the project and the community in general.
Yeah, I think for her to take the giant leap and go all in, and with that team specifically, speaks volumes to the characters that they are, and the trust that she has in them and everything that they're doing. Like she said, the vision and truly what they've done is some really creative, bold, things in this space that have been previously unheard of. So I think it was really cool to hear. You've been talking about this project for so long, but it was really cool to hear her perspective on all the things that they've done in this past year and really consolidated their efforts. I think it was very cool. She's very cool. I'm excited to see her in NFTy NYC.
Yeah, that'll be so much fun. And stay tuned because we may have something up our sleeves. Who knows? We're working on potential something for NFTy NYC. So that being said, I just want to remind everybody that there's this thing out there on your podcast players, and it's called reviews. And if you go leave us a review, it really helps us to be found and get our message out there to more and more people. And we would just really, really love it if you gave us, maybe a 5-star review. Don't you think, NiFTy?
Yeah, we're not asking for a 10, just a 5.
Right, just a 5. And as always, we want to remind you that you can find us on all the socials at the NiFTy Chicks. That's at the NiFTy NiFTy Chicks CHICKS.
That's right. And thank you so much for listening to the NiFTy Chicks. Always remember, invest in yourself because you are worth it.
Please listen carefully to the following disclaimer. Neither the host nor the guests of the NiFTy Chicks podcast are acting in the capacity of financial advisors. We wish to remain transparent and impartial to the NFT community at all times, and therefore, the content provided by the NiFTy Chicks hosts and guests are intended for general information purposes only. Nothing written or discussed by the NiFTy Chicks hosts and guests should be construed or relied upon as investment, financial, legal, regulatory, accounting, tax, or similar advice. Nothing should be interpreted as a solicitation to invest in any cryptocurrency or NFT, and nothing herein should be construed as a recommendation to engage in any investment strategy or transaction. Please be advised that it is in your own best interest to consult with investment, legal, tax, or similar professionals regarding any specific situation and any prospective transaction decisions. You must do your own research when considering investing in cryptocurrencies or NFTs. We are simply sharing our journey with you as we learn more about the world of NFTs. Happy minting.